I want to talk about the third Jewish temple. There have been two past temples, Solomon's temple, the temple built by the exiles when they came back from the 70-year Babylonian exile that was greatly embellished by King Herod. And of course, today up on what we call the Temple Mount is the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, Muslims don't call it the Temple Mount. They deny that a temple ever was there. They call it Haram al-Sharif, which means the noble sanctuary. And the Dome of the Rock is just really a structure built to protect a rock there. That's where they believe that Muhammad leaped to heaven from that rock. But the Al-Aqsa Mosque is really the main structure there. It's the third most holy site in Islam. There's been a lot happening up on the Temple Mount recently I want to refer to, but I also want to talk a little bit more again about the red heifer, because the red heifer and these red heifers from Texas that have been taken to Israel that are now in Shiloh is very significant to the rebuilding of the third temple. The drama is continuing to build. There's an article that just came out this week that says almost everything is ready for the third temple, claims Israeli TV report about red heifers brought to Israel last year. And the subtitle of the article says, "Arrival of 5 red heifers continues to cause excitement and consternation in the Jewish state." So many are excited about it, but many are afraid, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. There's a lot of relationship among Jewish people in their mind between these red heifers, the red heifer ceremony, the purification ceremony, spoken of back in Numbers 19, and a third Jewish temple. Rabbi Chaim Richman said this years ago, "In truth, the fate of the entire world depends on the red heifer. For God has ordained that its ashes alone is the single missing ingredient for the restatement of biblical purity, and thereafter the rebuilding of the Holy Temple." So look, that the whole world depends on this, the future. Gershon Solomon says this, 9 red heifers were born during the time of the tabernacle in the 2 temples. The 10th, according to this tradition, will be born in the end times for the third temple. Since the destruction of the second temple and in the time of the exile over the last 2,000 years, no red heifers have been born. But now they are coming one after another in Israel and on the ranches of friends of Israel. It is a clear message from God to his people Israel, that the time for the rebuilding of the temple has come. There's a strong connection here between these two factors. Now, here's a little bit of what this article that I referred to a moment ago. Here's some of what it says. It says Israel's TV channel 12 News released an investigative report about the 5 red heifers that were brought to the Jewish state last September, of course brought from Texas, and the supposed funneling of government funds to construct the third temple. But actually government funds in Israel are kind of being secretly funneled for the rebuilding of a third temple. It says Israeli journalist Omri Maniv has posted to social media multiple times about the red heifers and their meaning. Last month he tweeted about an experiment conducted by Bar Ilan University professor Zohar Amar, who attempted to determine how many people could be ritually purified by 1 red heifer. In the study, Professor Amar said that 1 red heifer would provide enough ashes to purify 660 billion purifications. I mean, 1 red heifer is going to take care of that, and they have 5 there now. And Maniv argued that the government has shifted funds from other accounts for the purpose of preparing for the purification rituals and possibly the third temple. He also argues that funds are being shifted quietly, not to raise tensions internally and with Arab populations. So they don't want to escalate any tensions within Israel. They've got enough there now, or with the Arab population, but money's actually being shifted towards this project surreptitiously, kind of quietly. Now, here's what's fascinating too. We've talked about this, but this is a more recent update. Just 2 weeks ago, near the site of biblical Shiloh, the tabernacle, you remember, was there for about 350 years before it was moved to a couple different places, and then finally the Ark of the Covenant was taken to Jerusalem when Solomon, or taken there by David, and then it's moved to the temple whenever Solomon constructs the temple. But just 2 weeks ago, in this biblical site of Shiloh, where the tabernacle was when they came into the land for about 350 years, it says that a group of Jews descended from the tribe of Levi and the priestly families enacted a practice run of the purification ceremony. The event occurred at a site called Ancient Shiloh, or Shiloh, affiliated with the Temple Institute. The event also featured a temple banquet containing foods from the second temple and biblical period. So the highlight of the event was the presentation of one of these 5 red heifers that's on display there now. And when you go to Shiloh today, there's kind of a big pavilion, an enclosed area where there's a video that you can watch, but then you can look down there from a balcony area and you can walk down there. The place, you can see the outline of where the tabernacle was for those 350 years, primarily during the time of the judges. That's the significance of this place, and that's where these red heifers are being kept. But a man named Colby Mamo, the CEO of Ancient Shiloh, said this: "We are yearning for the temple, and suddenly there's a red heifer here, and we understand what that means. Something is about to happen." Again, it goes back to this idea of the connection between these red heifers and this third temple. So there's a groundswell in Israel right now with these red heifers there and the rebuilding of a temple. Even government funds secretly being kind of funneled and channeled to that project. Now, at the same time that there's all this excitement among many in Israel over this, the Palestinians are gripped with fear. They're massively afraid of this red heifer. In fact, Dr. Ahmad Shihab said the heifers were proof that the Israeli government has a plan to cause a religious war in the region, and that settlers state religious claims regarding the Jews' right to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. He says that they're trying to Judaize the mosque. Now, in light of that, here's something that just happened a few days ago on what's called in Israel Tisha B'Av, or the 9th of Av. The 9th of Av is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. The 9th of Av is the day that both Solomon's temple and later the second temple were destroyed. They were both destroyed the same day, over 600 years apart, 650 years apart. Then you see God's providence and sovereignty. The same day, Solomon's temple, the first temple, and the second temple were destroyed. So it's the saddest day in Israel. It's called Tisha B'Av, or the 9th of Av, which falls somewhere in July or August on our calendar. But it was July 27th this year. A man named Itamar Ben-Gvir led a group of Jewish people up there to the Temple Mount, to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third most holy site in Islam, on Tisha B'Av. And this is the day, this day of mourning for Israel. And so you can see how up on that 36-acre Temple Mount, the tension is building. That's the third time in just the last few months that this security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has gone up there to that area. So it's stirring all kinds of fear among the Arabs there. Now, this all fits in because we see how this is going to lead to a temple being rebuilt, which has to happen for the end times to unfold. But we also see all this controversy and tension brewing there.